There is a specific feeling that almost no one names. And if it's active, it can drain the life out of you. The strange thing is that most of the time it happens with people who from the outside have it all together. You are a person with lots of responsibilities. Maybe you have a company, you build a team, you lead them, you have a family, you have to take care of a lot of things. And there are those days where a feeling comes in that is super heavy, is really frustrating, and you sense that it sucks out your energy profoundly. Sometimes it might not even be as loud as I'm describing here, but this feeling, when it takes over us, it can really pull us down in ways that are really difficult and painful, and actually, I would say, also not necessary. This feeling we will explore, and in this video, I will describe to you how you can deal with it, what helps you to process, and also to really find out what are the different elements in your life that create this feeling. And this feeling is one of those feelings that nobody talks about very often because it's not as en vogue as depression or anxiety. It is self-pity. And here's what's really underneath it. Most of the time, it's not just the poor me self-pity. No, it's regret about the moments where we didn't show up as we wanted. It's about the shame or the guilt that we feel that we wanted to create something, but it didn't work out. There is resentment and regret and grief in all of this. This is beneath the self-pity. And if we are tapping into those deeper elements, into the source of the self-pity, then we have the possibility to go beyond it. You are creating things, you are having a vision, you are building and building and building. You give your best all the time. And even that you're trying to be this best version, that you're always taking care, that you always want to improve, that you always like to have good relationships. There are those moments where things fall apart, where things are not working out as planned. You might have arguments with a partner. You might stumble into projects that don't work out. There are a lot of different things in life that can, how to say it, just not work out as we think they should. And what also happens most of the time is because the feelings connected to it are not very pleasant, we put them aside, or we just have the next thing to do. And when all of those different experiences pile up step by step, we come into a dangerous zone. We come into this dangerous zone because as we like to move forward, if we don't like to be a burden to others, if we don't want to waste time with negative feelings and emotions and with things that are not working out so well, we're kind of piling up those experiences to a moment where we start feeling maybe a lack of energy, maybe a sadness. For many people, this overthinking starts to take place. So instead of going through those difficult emotions, we are trying to find solutions. Of course, as a high achiever, you know that one of your capacities is to find solutions. But many of those life elements, they cannot be solved easily. When you crash a project, when some thing does not work out that you really put a lot of heart and effort into, and you have to admit it didn't work, it's sometimes very difficult to just allow those deeper emotions to come up, to allow yourself to really feel it. And then what happens if we are not super conscious, and it happens to all of us, me included, is we start to come into a mode where we, in a way, feel self-pity. And I wouldn't say it so clearly like, oh, poor me, why is life so bad to me? First it is just like a little unpleasantness, or we are maybe a little bit annoyed, or you recognize that even tiny things are stirring up a little bit of anger. You are not able to react as calm and as peaceful as you used to act. And all of those little signs are very important because they show you that in a way it seems you haven't fully processed what has been happening before. And what I notice when I'm working with my clients who are very successful, very high accomplished people that have a lot of things that they do and also a lot of successes, of course. But what I recognize is if those things pile up there in the back of the room, and this feeling of maybe resentment or of frustration or of sadness is not really processed, there comes a moment where this state of, why is it happening to me? I give my best and it's not working out. Why is this person being so strange to me? Why is it that I always give, and people are not getting enough of it? There are a lot of different things that are happening. We start to judge. We start to judge others. We finger point, or maybe you also start noticing that you are getting hard on yourself. And this actually is super poisonous because you're giving all the best, and then those things that do not work out, they pile up, and then you start questioning yourself. And it's not like oftentimes in this most existential way, like, oh, I'm not worthy, what's going on with me? It starts subtle, but if it's going on for a longer time, it can be really confusing because you might lose trust into yourself. You might lose this confidence that life will do good to you or will serve you, or that the situations that you have experienced have been valuable. And so when you come into the state of self-pity and you're recognizing all those things that are not working out, and you're starting to mourn about it, or you're starting to criticize, then you're coming into a negative state that is really detrimental, because you cannot be in self-pity and in the same time feeling fulfilled and satisfied and grateful. Now there comes the gratefulness scene, and they say, yeah, you know what, just have a gratefulness journal and just practice gratefulness and write down of what you're grateful for. And then at a certain point, you will feel this gratefulness feeling. But actually, in my experience, and I have been trying that for many years, of course, it helps a little bit. But when you have resentment or you are in a state of self-pity, you can write that down, but you don't feel it. And just writing it down, or making those affirmations, cannot really dissolve the base or the source of that experience that you have. And when you're watching my videos, you know that I'm a person, I like to go to the source of things. Because what I experienced in my own journey for the last 15 to 20 years, and also in working with a lot of people, is if you're not going to the source of things, you can, of course, paint a nice color over it, or you can sugarcoat things. There is spiritual bypassing, life will always give you what you need, and maybe the worst situations are the best situations to learn. And all these things, in a way, there is some wisdom in it. I will not totally crush that, but it oftentimes does not really help. When you are in this state, you are out of alignment with yourself. And it's very difficult to do deeper work from there. I have been creating the Brilliant State meditation that brings you back into alignment in just 10 minutes. It's a process that I'm also doing with my clients. It's completely free. You find the download link in the descriptions. And when you're in that better state, then you can do the deeper work that I'm sharing with you in a moment. So now you are in a state where you recognize, you know what? I guess I'm in a state of self-pity. It's not easy to admit that because, how to say that? It is a little bit connected also with shame. Who wants to be in a state of self-pity? Poor me, and I'm doing all the best and nothing is working and blah, blah, blah. All this mud comes up, and we don't want to create this mud, right? We want to be nice people. But actually, what I would say, like, this is a big invitation for you to really clear up things and to really purify what has been piled up. And how do we do that? So first and foremost, I think it's really important for you to address that, to really see that, to say, like, you know what? I have a lot of resentment. The project that I did that didn't work out, man, I spent so much time and effort to make it happen. And even that I gave my best, it's just not working out. And I know that myself. I have been in the last 15 years doing so many different projects that didn't work out. I was so enthusiastic and motivated, and I brought all my heart into it. And then at a certain moment, I had to admit it doesn't work out. And this is hard. This is tough. And when you're in this moment of self-pity and you notice it, and you notice, you know what, gratefulness journaling isn't helping, then it's time to grieve. And I say that very honestly because grieving, even that it has some, I would say, like maybe darkish connotation, grieving is so important because in a way, you know, like those little projects, those things that we want to create, they are like little babies from us, you know, like we put so much time into it. We had so much investment, emotional investment, and it's time to let go of that. So what I recommend to you to do is take out a sheet of paper and write down all the different things where you feel this resentment. Write down the projects that didn't work out. Write about the relationships that you thought would work out differently, the friendships where you got betrayed. Maybe also the moments where you were not your best and you were kind of destroying or doing something that really hurt others. So, and it's not about blaming or shaming or judging. It's just about having this list of things that still have this charge, that still have this self-pity, resentment, sadness, grief, connotation and feeling. And when you write it down, this is the first step. And you might even feel while doing that there come forward those emotional states or these entanglements that you have with the situation. There might come this anger or this frustration or this sadness or this feeling of being betrayed by a friend that you invested so much time with, and it was so beautiful. And at a certain moment, yeah, it just went downhill. And then what I noticed when I have been doing this, and I did it a couple of times because even that we try to be as conscious as possible, we are piling things up. I write it down, and even while I'm writing and I'm allowing myself to feel those feelings, I already recognize, I already can see, I start to see a different version of it. Suddenly I recognize that a project that didn't work out taught me something really important. I start to see the learnings that were there. I start to see the things that I gained, even that I lost it. And this is not about, as I said, it's not about sugarcoating. It's about becoming very precise of what is going on. And of course, let's be honest, there might be elements where you write it down and you are just frustrated. You are sick of it. You know, you hate it. And it's not about, oh, I don't hate it. No, it's about, okay, this is like a really tough issue. I cannot just let it go. I cannot just write it out and then it's done. And it's okay. So you might need support or help. And maybe you work with a therapist or a coach. This is also something that I do a lot with people. I have a whole process defined and designed to go with people through those different steps to really clear out those elements, because when you're still carrying this weight, it's super frustrating and it really sucks out energy all the time, even that we are not super conscious about it. So if there are elements that you cannot solve or where you feel, oh, that's really stuck stuff, just find someone who helps you. But with many of the tiny things or the not so intense ones, you will notice, wow, in this project I learned this, or what is the lesson here, or oh, wow, that's also a big one. Oh, you know what? This friend, even that he hurt me, I can forgive him. I just forgive him, and not in this kind of gesture, I forgive you. No, it's about, you know what? From heart to heart, I forgive it. I forgive you, and I forgive myself for being so frustrated with it. So we are coming here into a situation of noticing things, getting clear with them, allowing ourselves to feel it. You allow in this moment when you take your time with it, you don't push away the emotions. You allow yourself to feel it, and it can be quite painful. There might even come tears. I know that myself. But when you're doing that, you're purifying yourself. This is actually what is called purification. And as you're doing that, as you're writing it down, as you're tapping into that, I would say, I would call it hard wisdom. You see what you learned. You see what you can let go of. You recognize what you can't let go of now, but you are becoming more and more clear. You accept that self-pity might be a state that you are in from time to time, but you learn to address it, to tackle it, to see it, recognize it, work with it, get informed by it. You also allow yourself to grieve for all the things that were planned so beautiful and didn't work out. When this happens, when this purification, when this letting go, this allowing starts to take place, you recognize how you become lighter and lighter and lighter, because it is such a heavy weight to carry this resentment. It is such a heavy weight to be annoyed, to finger point, to search all the time for who is responsible for it, what should be done better. And most and for all, you build a different connection again to yourself. And I know it sounds a little bit maybe blurry or for some kitschy, but this idea of forgiving yourself for the things that you did that didn't work out. And it's not that you're a bad person, but we are so judgmental to ourselves, right? So in a way, we judge ourselves. If I create a project and it doesn't work out, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I learned something, that's funny, let's go to the next thing. No, there is something inside of me that says you have failed, it was not good enough. Why is it that others are able to do it and you're not? Like a lot of things are going on inside of me actually. And then in this moment of release, I find and come to a better relationship with myself. And then when you do that and you have been processing it and you have been writing it down, you just also can let go of it. It is not with the things that are so still so active, but there you need help, but with the tiny things, and sometimes it's also what you cannot let go of today, maybe in a year you can easily let go of. It still needs a little bit of processing. So you write down, you let go, you feel through, you clarify. And you reconnect to yourself. And you forgive yourself and others. Not as a gesture that is superficially or artificially created, but when you feel it, you tap into this wisdom of your heart. And then when you do that, the level of clarity, the level of emotional stability that comes back, the capacity to see where you are shifting into self-pity and resentment, this capacity grows and you become much more, I would say, like fluent and active in dealing with things when they happen and also letting them go more quickly. And this brings you into a new way of being, where you're learning to accept more easily when things go wrong and when you stop being hard on yourself and on others. And this brings fulfillment and a quality and a lightness back to you that is really, really, really beautiful. And if you have difficulties in feeling through all of things that are happening day by day, and this is something that really kind of is too intense for you, I recommend to you my video about not feeling through all of it, because sometimes it is important to feel through things intentionally, but other times feeling everything all the time, all day long, is not really necessary and really helpful. And sometimes when we do that, we are also going into the overthinker just to keep the emotions in place. And then we are losing a lot of energy that we could use for better things. So see you in the next video.